For those who don't know me, my name's John Thayer. I'm the supervisor of a bunch of steam fitters, pipe fitters, a couple insulators, and a couple high voltage electricians. We maintain the underground utility systems that supply all the heating, cooling utilities for the federal government system on Capitol Hill. So I actually, and my guy's job is to make them comfortable. Give them heat, air conditioning, all the services that they need. There's 10 of us in the crew. One of my guys is here today with his wife. This is Scott Smith. He's one of the pipe fitter welders who works for me, and I appreciate him showing up for support. Usually, you know, when we do it, we try to do it as a 10-man group. It goes a little bit over a little bit better. Anywho, we maintain 5 miles of underground utility tunnels that supply heat and cooling to all of Congress and some 20 other federal buildings on Capitol Hill. Some of us have worked in the tunnels for well over 20 years. I've worked in the tunnels for 22 years and for the architect of the Capitol for 22 years. The tunnels are a tough place to work. Temperatures get up to 160 degrees. Big slabs of concrete fall from the ceilings, and the cramped passages are so thick with welding fumes, pulverized asbestos and concrete dust. Even the Capitol Police refuse to patrol the tunnels out of concern for the safety of their officers and their dogs. The fire department has told us they will not attempt an emergency rescue in the tunnel because there are no communication systems and access is extremely limited. Not only will they not come for a rescue, they said if they do show up on the scene, the only way that they're going to come in is for a body recovery. Okay, on behalf of my whole crew, I want to express, the support for everybody here, taking us under their wings like their kids. I mean, I've had a lot of support and a lot of nice things said about myself and the crew, and, I am a good guy to know because I'm not going to really I'm going to take this as far as I can go. I have access to the senators. I have access to the Congress. They don't like it, some of them, but, that's their problem. Okay, I will end this, when my guys and myself decide it's going to be ended, and not until anything else somebody tells me to. Okay, we all know from personal experience the lethal danger that asbestos presents because we have worked in it and breathed in it for decades. And we're now beginning to suffer the health consequences. The problem is if the workers at the heart of the U.S. government are being put at risk, then imagine what it is like for the millions of unseen workers out in private industry. As of last week, a contractor was working in one of our tunnels, pulled off the job, quoting, "The tunnel is no longer a safe environment and the conditions down there are impossible to correct." This is one of the very few people that had come in to try to, alleviate some of the conditions that we have to work in. All right, just about a year ago, we found out that the AOC had been leading us for years about the extent of our workplace exposure to asbestos. The architect of the Capitol, who is a presidential appointee, knew but didn't tell us that the concentration of airborne asbestos in the tunnels were extremely toxic, 30 to 40 times over the legal limit. We discovered this when the Office of Compliance filed an unprecedented complaint against the architect for not fixing safety problems that the Office of Compliance had identified and cited 7 years earlier. So essentially, they were cited back in 1999. We let them off the hook for 7 years before we ever complained about anything. We continued to do the work, and if we had probably pounded them over that 7 years. But like any normal person, you figure, well, they got cited, they're going to have to fix it sometime sooner or later. Anywho, so what we did was we asked to see our medical records from our annual employment, which is conducted by the Office of Attending Physician. When I got my medical records, I noticed a piece of paper that was written back in 1998. It said my own records stated that my lung age interpretation was 118 years old, and I had scarring on both my lower lung fields. Now, I didn't see this until 2006. This was documented by the Office of Attending Physician, who is the doctor for the division who takes care of the senators and, and their medical clearance. But no one ever told me this, and actually, on the contrary, every year the doctor gave me a piece of paper saying I was cleared to work in the tunnels. I mean, we all got those pieces of paper, so we thought it was, everything was fine. What happened was we needed to find out the truth. 3 of us drove all the way to Detroit in July 2006 to see Dr. Michael Harbert. And everybody knows him, nationally renowned expert, at the Kansas Karamis Cancer Institute, diagnosed and treated, thousands of patients with asbestos-related diseases. The 3 of us, we learned that we had signs of asbestos exposure. But let me tell you something. That was a very, very long drive home from Detroit to Maryland. Here you had 3 relatively young, otherwise healthy guys, we thought, who don't smoke, live a pretty simple life, learning that we had caught something at work that might kill us, and we could die a lot earlier than normal. Even worse, the architect of the Capitol let us carry this deadly disease home in our clothes every day for years without telling us that this posed a risk to our wives or children. I recently testified at the Senate hearing at the risk of my employment for her bill on banning asbestos, because I feel strongly about it. We've all been examined by Dr. Harbert, traveling at our own expense, to get the standard of care recommended by the American Thoracic Society under Dr. Harbert's leadership, the care that's been denied to us by the architect of the Capitol. Preliminary results show that we all have symptoms of asbestos exposure, not to mention the elevated risks of lung cancer, colon cancer, mesothelioma. We're essentially ticking time bombs. I couldn't tell you what we're going to be, where my guys are going to be in the next 10 years. Last spring, we sat in Senate hearings held by Senator Allard and heard the architect lie to Congress about the hazards that we face on the job. We were not invited to speak. The AOC management claimed they had just learned about the asbestos problem, when in fact they had known about it for years. They blamed us for our own medical conditions by claiming that we would not follow safety rules, when in fact they had never provided us with the necessary respirators and decontamination equipment, and still to this day, a year after we complained, don't provide us with the proper decontamination and equipment. The AOC continues to misrepresent working conditions in the tunnels. It's tried to sweep the problems under the rug by hiring contractors to turn power washers on the asbestos in the tunnels. 2,500 PSI power washers, no containment, starting at one end of the tunnel, working down to the end of the tunnel because of my complaints that the asbestos is laying all over the top of the pipes. They wait till they get a big pile, and then they use what they call rubber squeegees and rubber shovels to pick up the pile and put it in a bag. They stick it in the back of a truck. Not worrying about it, they say they're not doing an asbestos thing. They changed the contract from an asbestos HEPA system to, because of the conditions, they need to get in there and get out. They changed it to a simple house cleaning dust cleanup, and said the dust did not contain asbestos. Well, all that's doing, all the grates on Capitol Hill are wide open. Contractors, that regularly violate OSHA procedures. Contractors that endanger the public by allowing asbestos to be released into the air through the grates on the sidewalks of Capitol Hill. This is nothing new. Asbestos has been blowing through the grates for years, but it's gotten worse. I've tried in vain to stop them from running the exhaust fans. Recently, they restarted the fans, that blow out on the street, from the tunnel system, where essentially asbestos lies on top of the pipes so thick. There was a picture in there where I wrote my name in it. It said John. Okay, it's been a year since we wrote to the members of Congress pleading for help, but neither the architect nor Congress has effectively addressed the problem. In fact, 2 days ago, 2 of my crew members' personal exposure monitors showed 6 times the allowable permissible exposure. 2 days after that, their monitors exposed them to 11 times over. Out of curiosity, I went down there myself, and my PEL was 6 times the legal limit. We have also been retaliated for blowing the whistle on unsafe working conditions, and we already have filed a complaint against the AOC with the Office of Compliance. If we got to go to federal court, that's what we're going to do. One of the issues that is in our way is we're federal employees. We don't have a right to sue the federal government. But that's not going to stop me. The more trouble that I can cause them, the more that I'm going to do. My record speaks for itself. I've had 10 outstanding evals, my guys, documentation from the architect of the Capitol, awards for saving the government hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars by doing the work myself and with my guys instead of contracting it out. So I'm not real worried about it. My record speaks for itself. So I will continue, and my guys are on board with me, whatever it takes to get the end result. The thing is, we should not have to go to court to be compensated for our personal injuries, and defend our right to speak out in us, to make a safe workplace. We call on the members of the Congress for whom we work to do what they can to see that we're compensated for the irreparable harm we have suffered. And we would like to call on the Asbestos Awareness Organization, to work with us, and just pound Congress, calls and letters, whatever it takes. I mean, all we want to do is the same thing we've been doing is, earn a living and take care of our families as better, as anybody else. Please remember that any of these pictures shown today that catch your interest, realize that this exposure for me and my guys is going to continue. And as of Monday, when you all are back at your job sites, or your offices and your work, we're going to be down there working again in that stuff because we have to keep a paycheck. I mean, we don't have any choice but to go down in there tomorrow and continue our job. So, when you all wake up Monday morning, say a little prayer for my guys, because I've done everything in my power to try and protect them, and I'm going to try everything, continue. So that's where we'll be Monday morning, doing our job, making a paycheck. It's all we can do. But, I really appreciate everybody here, the support, the emails, and everything that you've given to my guys to help us try to, get through this. It's a long road. It's going to continue to be a long road. It's Capitol Hill. I mean, need I say more? The one thing that really bothers me is and I'm getting ready to finish, is the amount of inconsistencies in the personal exposure limit, the FOH sampling. It's like a non-ending cycle. I mean, if the PEL's 0.1, I mean, you need to stand by it. It seems for some reason we're paying somebody $300 an hour for industrial hygienists, that it turns around there's always an excuse why the test results of the sample has been either tainted, different, or whatever. There's always an excuse. If it's above the PEL, it's above the PEL. I've worked down there for 22 years, and I didn't start wearing a respirator till last year when I complained about it, because it was never mandated. That's my problem, you know, and my job's take care of these guys, and I'm going to take care of everything that, you know, you all need me to do. You want me to speak, pound them, I'm there. So thank you all.